Hello viewers, Super BD here. Welcome back to a brand new video. Today, we got career mode on the menu. The Italian Grand Prix. It's going to be a spicy meatball this one, and I'm very much looking forward to it. We're in a bit of trouble in this career mode. In the way of the standings, we have not had a good flow of results go our way in a couple of races now, and more people are entering the fray in way of winning the championship, and we need to put a stop to this at Monza. This is our home away from home. If there is a circuit apart from Monaco where we can win a race, this is the one. So we need to make the most of it, because later on in the season, with the way that the AI are going and the way that they continue to get more and more OP, the deeper we get into this career mode, the more concerned I get about my hopes of winning the championship this season. So we need points now. Anyway, in the way of upgrades, you would have seen in the background we did a brake upgrade, only a minor one, which will go on in time for the Singapore Grand Prix next episode, which of course will be a strong track for us as well. After that, I'm not so sure where potentially our next win might be coming from. We don't have too many races after this, only 7 more, including this one. So, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I can count. I can do something. That's great. Anyway, we're heading into practice. Please like, subscribe if you are enjoying this series. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate that. Practice. Oh my goodness, practice. This was the best one of the year. We dominated both sessions. We're doing a McLaren of testing. We just seem to dominate. So let's see what happens as we actually get into the representative times. That's areas of the weekend where the AI will eventually take the sandbags off. Alright, let's head out there for qualifying. We're using a brand new engine for this race, brand new turbo, brand new MGU-K and H. The only things which are not new are the energy store and the control electronics. You only get 2 columns of those to utilize over the course of the season, so having to use slightly used ones, that's not an issue though, as that's not going to affect performance. So all the performance bits, all the go fast bits are on the car, and we're looking to make the most of this weekend. We head into our first run in qualifying. Puts us P5, 2 tenths away from Lando Norris. Not a disaster when you compare to previous races where we've really just not been in the same ballpark as our teammate. Today, we certainly are. So I'm gunning for pole position, hopefully, in this session. We're going to build up our pace. I only did 1 lap in Q1, and Q1 is always kind of the weakest session for me, as the track is still rubbering up. The track isn't fully optimal. It really ramps up at the end of Q2 and then Q3. So as long as you can make it out of qualifying 1, for me, that's actually the hardest part. So, yeah, just making the most of when the track is at its grippiest, and it looks like we're doing just so at the moment. Up by nearly 4 tenths as we round through to the last corner. We're in P9 at the moment. We are in safety with our banker time that we did, but we want to go a lot faster on this fresher tyre. So out of the last corner, out of Parabolica, punch it out with the throttle. Max and hot lap to the line, and that is provisional pole with a 1 minute 14.8 over Esteban Ocon. My teammate Lando has not made it into qualifying 3. Neither has Max Verstappen, Alexander Albon, or Valtteri Bottas. All of the championship contenders are not present in the most crucial part of qualifying. That is a bombshell. Wow, okay. Looks like we might have a free reign at pole position then.
We seem to be having some software issues at the moment. Sit tight for a few minutes while we reboot some things, okay?
How typical. How many times this season have we got to Q3 and there's been a fault of some kind? But we're going to go out there now. We're still going to get 2 runs in, so we're going to just basically make the most of that time while we can. But yeah, this is a big scalp, guys. All of our championship rivals have not made it through to Q3. And as we head out, I can't believe this. It's fucking raining. This is so typical. Oh yeah, look, everyone's done dry times already. It's just started raining as soon as I've gone out and fixed the issue. This is so typical. Honestly, how many times this season has this happened? We've had a problem at the start of Q3 where the track is at its fastest, then it rains, and we have no
qualifying complete,
bloody chance at all
review our
of
top
competing.
three today. Ocon, Fiat, and Daniel Ricciardo. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
I cursed it for myself. I said we're guaranteed pole, and the game, or Codemasters more like, says no. Let's get into the race.
Tough luck there. It's not quite where we'd want to be on the grid, but chin up, it's not the end of the world.
It's time for the Italian Grand Prix once again, here at the beloved and iconic Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. With the lowest downforce and drag of any circuit in the season, expect to see drivers making the most of the slipstream effect here today.
Let's try and bring some points home today.
Short and sweet there from Jeff. I think, you know, both of us are in a similar mood. We're a bit annoyed at the set of circumstances we've had this season. And really, we just want to get on with the job. So that's what we're going to do in this episode. We're going to hopefully come back with some big points. Thankfully, we're still ahead of our championship rivals, but it just makes the job that little bit tougher. So, we're heading into Monza, soft to mediums. We're going to hopefully play ourselves into this race nicely. And there's also a bit of rain to finish things off, if you didn't notice. We're underway for the Italian Grand Prix, and you can see Bottas is basically pushing me. Oh, now he actually is pushing me down into turn one as we get up the inside of the racing point, trying to reclaim some track position. Max Verstappen comes out of nowhere and now gets himself inside the top 10. So that is far from an ideal start to this Italian Grand Prix that I would have wanted. Verstappen being a long way ahead in the championship. I think 24 odd points. I don't know, he's definitely ahead by a long stretch. An amount of points that I'm not overly comfortable with. So I'm going to be highly motivated to cut into that deficit today, but it's not been a great start so far. So yeah, we've got to claw back the ground if we can. Verstappen gets up the inside of Carlos Sainz there into the Ascari chicane, which honestly isn't overly an overtaking zone of the track. He actually outbroke the McLaren pretty easily there, so that was a little bit concerning. Sainz going backwards a little bit. Let's hopefully get past him and Stroll as quickly as we can, and then get onto the back of Max Verstappen, and then maybe we can follow him through and eventually overtake him. But for the time being, it's going to be a bit of a slipstream fest for the time being. As you can see, Stroll going defensive down into turn one. We got the inside, but not late under brakes. Not enough to actually get the move done on either of them as we out-traction Carlos Sainz on the exit of turn one. Bit of contact there. Thankfully, our front wing is still intact, running simulation damage. Stroll lacking a little bit of top-end speed. We got the inside into the middle sector chicane. Didn't really hit the curbing all too well, which cost me a bit of time. But overall, we still got the job done. However, there is quite a considerable gap between us and Max Verstappen up the road as Stroll is looking to come back at us here in the early stages of this first stint, chucking it down into lean, and Stroll actually goes to the move up the inside down into turn one. Wow, I didn't anticipate that. You know what? I think I'm not actually making the most of these brakes, the brake upgrades. I think maybe I'm just being a little bit conservative because the stopping power is very pronounced at this circuit with massively high top speeds and recently upgraded brakes. Sometimes I just think I'm not going to pull up for the corner when I actually do, and I think I'm doing this car a bit of a disservice. So by that reckoning, at this circuit, I'm a little bit inconsistent compared to most others, where the braking zones or braking markers are pretty much where you would expect them to be, even with the upgraded brakes. But anyway, we're catching up to this massive battle between Verstappen and the two Ferraris. They're going to be 3 wide down this start-finish straight, and we might potentially make it 4 wide as we get up the outside of all of them. Both Ferraris and Verstappen, we use the overspeed to perfection. Verstappen gives us a bit of a touch-up through the first chicane, and somehow We've just gained 3 positions in one go. That was absolutely ridiculous. Mercedes power coming in strong over Honda and Ferrari, embarrassing the Tifosi, the Ferraris in front of their home crowd. This was crazy. And then here, the contact with Verstappen, I didn't even look. There was so much going on, and I wasn't even sure that I was going to pull the car up for the corner, let alone leave space for other people. So yeah, apologies to Max about that, but we're through for P7. We're well entrenched inside the points now, and I tell you what, this race is well and truly going to come alive now as Verstappen fights back. He is not done with this battle. And being the championship leader in one of the fastest cars, it's going to be awfully tough to shake this guy with, 3 DRS zones over the course of a 80-second lap. This could be a race-long battle unless we can somehow break the stranglehold, break out of the slipstream range. But meanwhile, up front, that is Danny Kvyat in the AlphaTauri leading the way from Esteban Ocon. And then we've got Pierre Gasly in P3. But meanwhile, Verstappen with a watching brief, trying to come back at us there. We actually savagely cut off Max from taking the racing line into the last corner. Anyway, I've got a bit of karma going my way as I've just bowled a wide out of Parabolica. But we have the straight line speed to out-drag Verstappen, but Verstappen tucks back into the slipstream, and it's going to go for a move up the inside into turn 1, and I've left him no space.
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, Max is not happy. I tell you what, when you mess with the bull, you get the horns. So we might see a very aggressive Max Verstappen for the rest of this race towards us. I've shown him my intentions. I don't want to let him through. I need points on him in this race, this being one of my strongest circuits on the calendar. But here comes Max Verstappen again with slipstream, with DRS, rich fuel mixture. He's going to go to the outside this time, and we are going to show him the door as we make a little bit of contact in the braking zone, squeezing Max again, but this time no contact is made, and we hold on to P7. All the while, we're actually catching up to Jack Aitken and Pierre Gasly, who now has a problem, according to Jeff. And here comes Max again. One of the Ferraris makes a box. That is Charles Leclerc. So he's going for the early undercut. Max, though, up the inside with a massive bout of contact as we approach the braking zone. I think we've got some front wing damage here, but we're going to have to confirm with the engineer in just a second. Here's the replay. Max just completely swerves towards us just before the braking zone at 200 miles an hour.
You checked the tires. I think my floor is fucked as well.
Copy.
Wow. Okay, Max has front wing damage too. I can confirm that I've got front wing damage after the initial contact on the straight when Max swerved towards us. But now Max has front wing damage as well. So 2 championship contenders are really just tearing each other apart in this Italian Grand Prix. Vettel is now out.
We've got no control. Got no control. Okay, stopping now. I'm stopped. Engine off.
This is a mental Grand Prix. This is absolutely crazy. We have 2 midfield runners leading this race. We have Vettel out of the Grand Prix. I've got damage. Verstappen's got damage. Norris is coming from, like, the midfield to now be in the point. I'm overtaking Pierre Gasly, who's got problems. And then we've got Albon, who started from literally the moon, is somewhere in the middle of all this. Who is going to win this? Well, I think we have a good, clear indication as to who's going to win this Grand Prix. But who is going to come out of this race, this round, with the ascendancy championship-wise? Because at the moment, it's all up in the air. As Max Verstappen now dives into the pit lane, I decided to stay out because I wanted to see what Max was going to do. And it turns out he's changing the wing. So we're going to do the same thing as our race leader, Danny Kvyat, makes his pit stop. Esteban Ocon went for the undercut on the last lap, by the way. Because we now know what Max is doing, we are going to respond. we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to change the wing, and we're going to see if we can fight back past the peasants and maybe get ourselves on the podium once again. There is one bit of silver lining here. I think Max Verstappen actually had a really slow stop. I think because of the lap that he boxed on, he got held up in the pits after everyone else came into the pit lane and changing his front wings. So I think we might easily be able to clear him once we come out of the pit lane. But here is the battle for the lead. Esteban Ocon has effectively worked the undercut to his advantage and now leads this Italian Grand Prix. We have a Renault leading from an AlphaTauri. I'm sorry, is this real life? I mean, it's pretty close. Wrong driver, but, you know, same kind of teams in the mix. Anyway, we're halfway through this race now. We're trying to get back past Pierre Gasly, who still has this critical problem, which is slowing him down massively. He was on the podium only 10 laps ago, and now he's in danger of not getting points now. That is the scenario for Pierre Gasly. I really feel for him. AlphaTauri is still a team on the rise that are trying to get as many points as they can, and they just can't seem to, you know, put that full stop at the end of the weekend to get those big points. But thankfully for Pierre Gasly, not Pierre Gasly, his teammate, also have it, Danny Kvyat is, well, still in the box seat to win this race as he powers past Esteban Ocon, who, interestingly, decided not to use any overtakes. So maybe those two are actually working in tandem to pull away from the rest of the field, because they've got themselves a massive margin, by the way. They're going through the Curva de Grande and into the second chicane now, whereas we're only just going through turn one, basically. So, yeah, those two, as long as it stays under green flag racing, they're guaranteeing that either one of those two are going to win this Grand Prix. So, yeah, that would be a massive scalp for either of them. But meanwhile, we have Jack Aitken on the podium, just a few seconds up the road. Lando Norris directly ahead of us, directly behind us, on the hard compound tyres. We give him a bit of a wave as we say goodbye to him in this race. Again, this is a big race where Lando could have capitalised on myself and Verstappen crashing, but he's only gone and used another crap strategy, which has put him nowhere in this race. He could be a lot further up the road if he was on the right tyre. I think Lando is starting to, I don't know, discredit himself as a championship threat. He just doesn't seem to be making the right decisions. This is so, there's a bit of a trend here happening from teammates gone by. I think of George Russell, I think of Sebastian Vettel to a lesser degree, Mick Schumacher. They all made these mistakes and they all got shown the door at Marduk Motors. Callum Ilott as well. Callum was not too bad, but he still had the odd mistake in him. Lando, don't make me fire you. I've given you a chance for the second half of the season. Don't let me down. I mean, he actually is helping me by not being a threat. But anyway, we're catching up to Aitken, who's going defensive in the McLaren. On the medium compound tyres, we go clean. Clean as you like. Round the outside. And I've gone in a bit deep, and Aitken has got me back there in the McLaren. Great job from him there. He gets himself back onto the podium. There's a yellow flag down at the first corner. I think that's for the retiree of Lance Stroll. We got the inside of Aitken again. And this is all but guaranteeing that we're not going to get any points or shot at a win today, as there's multiple yellow flags now. One for a Ferrari back there. That's Charles Leclerc. Must have got squeezed off by somebody because he almost rage quit out of this Grand Prix. So that was that incident. Here's this one, which I don't actually think caused the yellow flag, because Aitken was already out of there when a yellow flag was being shown in that quadrant of the circuit. So, not really sure what happened there. There must be something else. But either way, we're in P3. There's 3 laps to go. And I think this is how the race is going to end, basically. But we can still get extra points in this race. We can still get a fastest lap, which I asked the engineer about. It's a 17.1, previous fastest lap. We do a 17.1, but can't beat the marker. We took a bit of a cool down lap, and we're going to go again on this lap to see if we can beat Danny Kvyat's time. He's absolutely flying and is actually going to win this Grand Prix. He's a few seconds up the road from Esteban Ocon now, so I think it's all but academic now for the AlphaTauri driver, basically recreating history just on the other side of the garage. But this is probably our last throw of the dice. We do have enough fuel and ERS to go for another fastest lap after this one, if we so wish to do so. Tires are getting on a bit, 40% as we come up to the line. That is a fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Only marginally, though, over Danny Kvyat. That's a 17-0. Danny comes round the last corner himself to win in the AlphaTauri and make history for his career. He gets the fastest lap as well, for good measure. And that is a time that I just can't compete with. I made a mistake as well on this lap, so I aborted. So Danny Kvyat gets himself the fastest lap at the end of the day. Maximum points here in Monza. For us, it's been a good day of damage limitation.
Thank you for all your hard work out there. That was a strong drive and a good finish. Well done.
A nearly flawless performance here then, and a commanding victory. And talk to me, what do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
And it's time now for the podium celebrations, and how well deserved is this one? This is a team all about giving talented young drivers an opportunity to race and to win. AlphaTauri are your winners here today.
Mate, what do I say about this race? What do I say about this podium? We're going to need Sky Sports F1 in the video here. We're going to need Ted. We're going to need Johnny, Damon, the whole gang to debrief this race, because there is so much that just happened. It was quite mental. Vettel with the DNF. Stroll had his own issues. We had all of the championship rivals starting outside of the top 10, bar myself. Then I had the contact with Verstappen. Lando with a poor strategy choice. Albon with the biggest comeback of the day from 21st to 7th. And then the two up front, Kvyat and Ocon, working in tandem to pull away from the rest of the field. It's genius. They were absolutely flying, and I had no answer to their pace. I think, you know, honestly, even if I would have started, or if, let's rephrase that. If I would have not had the front wing damage with Verstappen, I still would not have won that race. I think I just took too long to get through the field. We had really good pace, but for some reason, Kvyat was consistently rapid. In any circumstance, it would have been very difficult to win this race, even if I was starting at the front. Such was their pace. But there we go, guys. That has been this race, this episode. Probably the craziest one of the season, I'd say. Massive rivalry starting to emerge now with Verstappen. Championship has closed up once again. We gained some points on our rivals, but they are still ahead. I think we might have jumped Lando, potentially. I need to actually go back and have a look at the drivers and the team standings. But, yeah, from a neutral perspective, championship is still wide open for a handful of drivers. And, you know, that's what you love to see in career mode. Because I haven't had that in a couple seasons now. It's either been one-way traffic for somebody. But this season looks very open-ended. So we'll have to wait and see what happens when we get to the next Grand Prix, which is Singapore. A strong track for me. Very, very strong, actually. But with the way that our luck has been, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of self-sabotage in qualifying or something like that. So I won't count my chickens until they hatch. But I tell you what, guys, we need a race win in the next episode. And I think that's where I'll leave it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. This is shaping up to be a truly epic season of career mode. And I can't wait to see how it ends up. Until the next video, I'll see you next time.